Holy cow. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. You were just chatting.
I thought you were doing a bit.
No, I thought. I wish I was.
You know
Really?
what? I
I was lost. I was lost in the sauce.
I know what he was doing. He was setting a reminder for the second Thursday of
You
football
threw me all
season.
off. See, this is a sign.
Watch party.
This is a sign. Nick redid his living room.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
I did it for you guys, for the show.
Because he wants us to come over and watch
Football
the
together.
games with him.
Because you
because
said
we
that,
only spend.
I've done it. It's fun.
Yeah. You
It's a
said
good time.
you saw the videos I've taken there. You said it was too narrow of a room.
Well, yeah, you were right on top of the
It was
screen.
tiny.
It was,
Yeah.
and so I moved. I did a whole thing. Moved the TVs from one room, put plants in there instead. Now it's in the spacious living room. Got a brand new couch just for you guys.
Next Thursday, and by that I mean 6 Thursdays from now.
Yeah.
We will be there the
Second
debut.
Thursday
You
of the
really
NFL
gonna go?
season.
Oh,
I'm
I
there.
have to at this point.
Okay, that's great.
I'm there.
And I'm telling you,
not
once
sure I
you do
believe
it,
What type of
I'll be
snacks
there.
are you going to have? We start in Kansas City. The Athletics' Mike Sando releasing his 2026 QB tiers at number 1. A guy who was a 3-time Super Bowl champion, also a guy who won 6 games last year. Patrick Mahomes, not unanimous this time. Only 49 of the 50 voters have him as a tier 1 QB, with one defensive coordinator saying, I know no one sees this list, but no one wants to be the one that takes the number 1 off of Patrick Mahomes. He's earned that.
Yes.
So does Patrick Mahomes still deserve to be number 1?
So, as we talk about this list, I just want to make sure the audience understands it. All people do is vote tier 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then Sando turns it into the ranking based on the lowest number is the best.
Right.
And so, he obviously deserves to still be a tier 1 quarterback. The question we're asking is, does he still to be the most tier 1 quarterback?
Yeah.
He has the best
Number one in
vote,
the
the
league.
number 1 in the league. And my answer is twofold. The first one is about the missed opportunity for the other guys. And the answer is yes, because they couldn't capitalize. Mahomes had, and you guys were right, that the Super Bowl did puncture the Chiefs' invincibility. The Super Bowl lost to the Eagles, even though it was the 3rd straight Super Bowl, trying to three-peat unprecedented. Because of the fashion in which they lost, it did have a knock-on effect, along with a lot of other things that all of a sudden made Mahomes' standing potentially wobbly. And so I look at it as the rest of the top 5 could have last year supplanted him had they played their best or done the most possible. If Lamar, after 2 amazing regular seasons, had even just a fine regular season but finally got it done in the playoffs, I think he's unanimous, what Mahomes had been previously, all first-tier votes. I think that Burrow, if he had stayed healthy all year, he was tied with Mahomes a year ago with 50 tier 1 votes. He and Mahomes were tied for first. If he had stayed healthy and played great, finally got back to the playoffs. If Stafford, honestly, I thought he played great all year. I thought he played great in the playoffs. I think had they won the Super Bowl, he would have been a unanimous number 1, which would have supplanted Mahomes. If he wins MVP and wins the Super Bowl, and all Josh had to do, I don't even think Josh had to win the Super Bowl. I think all Josh had to do was get there and not have moments from the playoff loss stick out in your mind cartoonish, the one in particular that cost him a couple votes. And so the other guys didn't take advantage of the opportunity, and Mahomes' resume, which we can talk more about in a bit, does speak for itself. So yes, to me, unequivocally, there is nobody else that you could make a real rational argument except for maybe Stafford. I would listen to Stafford, but I think Stafford gets dinged because of the age, that they deserve to jump him last season if they all went into last season trailing him.
No, look, I agree with that. I understand it's kind of a what have you done for me lately element to this poll, but Mahomes, I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt. Having won 3 Super Bowls in the last 7 years, been to 3 in the last 4 years. I think he's earned that benefit of the doubt, but I think this is his last year, at least for now. Obviously he's only 30, so you don't think he's going to fall off or has fallen off. And I think this is the last year that he will have that benefit of the doubt as the best quarterback in the league without either a fantastic individual season statistically like he had earlier in his career, or just keep winning and get to the Super Bowl or even maybe the AFC Championship, but a deep playoff run, if not a Super Bowl run. If he has that and his numbers remain kind of mediocre for him, he still could end up being number one because that's been 3 years running. Bieniemy is back as the OC. You got a running game now with Kenneth Walker III. Mm-hmm. This, to me, will be the last year he kind of gets that benefit of the doubt without playing spectacular football. I agree with you that nobody grabbed it, right? Like Josh obviously blew it. Let's just keep it real. Not only blew his chance to pass Mahomes, but he blew his chance to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, flat out blew it, all right? 4 turnovers, in the game that they lost against Bo Nix. Bo's a good quarterback, but I'm just saying, Bo Nix. And then Stafford is 38. And Stafford wasn't great in that game against Chicago in the playoffs. They won, but he had completed fewer than 50% of his passes, no touchdowns. So he didn't exactly reach out and grab it. And obviously, Burrow, was out more than half the season. And Lamar missed games as well. So, yeah, I agree that Mahomes should still be number one.
But before you go, can I ask you, Wiles, can I ask you a question, bro? For you, Chris Broussard, is it possible that Mahomes has what you would consider a great individual regular season without having great individual numbers? And where you watch the games and you feel like he's playing awesome and the numbers aren't there? Because I think
last year he had some moments like that where it was like he's just playing really well, but numbers are real. Like, numbers are real.
So the year that I would like comes to mind for me actually is the never a doubt year. The year they lost the first game of the year to the Lions. When the drops where you watched the games and Mahomes, his numbers it was the first pedestrian statistical season of his career. And it felt like, to me, he was playing as well as he did the year before.
It was so easy
to
a lot of that
was the drop. You could see, too, the guys were dropping passes and stuff. So, but I hear you, because I thought, like I said, we talked about it. He was the MVP favorite at one point last year. His numbers weren't sky high, but so that's why I say if he wins, he's going to be the reason they're winning. And so, but the numbers are real, too. Sure. I think I don't want to say saves him. He's just a great quarterback, obviously. But the fact that he did have such great numbers early in his career for several years has allowed him to have these years where they aren't great, but you still know how fantastic he is.
So I'll show one full screen in one video that we've been referencing. The full screen is just Patrick Mahomes last year, just to level set where he was. We're not in the teens on these, though. We're in the 20s on a lot of these. The passer rating is 23rd, the touchdown interception. The interceptions were heavy early in the year. Yep. Completion percentage, which depends on what day it is. Would you think that's important or not? I'm a huge fan of it.
Okay.
The video.
And is this about to be a video of Patrick looking like he never tore his ACL?
No.
I like those videos.
No.
That's pretty impressive.
Separate injury.
Oh, okay.
This is Rashee Rice when we were on vacation. Maybe not looking like a number one wide receiver.
What's the problem?
When we're within 40 days of the start of the season.
You think he looks slow?
I think he looks un-Rashee Rice-like.
It didn't look that smooth.
So I don't know, as much as we talk about how great Kenneth Walker is going to be, I'm not as confident in the receiving core, which was shaky to begin with.
You should not be confident in the receiving core.
So then how am I going to be able to judge Mahomes'
Well, that's why I asked Brew. Because I think the Chiefs are going to win 12 games. I think Mahomes is going to look like a player by week 5 that never tore his ACL. And I think listen, Eric Bieniemy is currently away from the team because of the tragedy involving his wife. I don't know when he's coming back. So that's a real life devastation.
Yep.
But it does seem like they think he is, going to be back at some point, but who knows? I think assuming he's back, his addition helps. I think the health of the offensive line was the most underrated story of the Chiefs season last year. I think all of that will help. But I don't think 40 touchdowns, which it was, commonplace for him early in his career, is necessarily even possible with this current group of receivers. I think 30 touchdowns could be hard, it could be hard to come by. Now, different years, 30 touchdowns can come close to leading the league. That fluctuates year to year.
Punches.
And so, but as far as the benefit of the doubt part, I do just want to level set something else as well. Historically and then contemporaneously. Because the only quarterback in the history of the league with more playoff wins or Super Bowl appearances or conference championship appearances than Patrick Mahomes is Tom Brady. He is second on all-time playoff wins, on all-time conference championship appearances, Super Bowl appearances. He is fourth behind Brady, Montana, Bradshaw in Super Bowl wins. And how that's him compared to when people are doing all-time rankings. Compared to the other guys in the top 5, if we show their just kind of big picture accomplishments on that level, we can show it to you. I mean, he has such a lead on the rest of the top 5. He's 17-4 in the playoffs. Allen's got the second most wins with 8. He's been to 5 Super Bowls. No one else has been to more than 1. And as far as the individual statistical excellence, again, nobody's got more MVPs than him. He's tied with them. I understand it feels like it was forever ago he won an MVP. We're going into the 26th season. He won his last MVP in 22. So it's 3 seasons removed from his last MVP. So I think that I think it's reasonable that he has a big margin of error versus the contemporary field as far as who we think is the best, especially because, to Bruce's point, he's 30. It is not now. If we were worried about the knee, and maybe some people are, I'm not. That would be a bigger reason for concern. But
and when I say benefit of the doubt, it won't be that he's still a great quarterback. It's on this kind of particular ranking in particular.
Is he the best?
Yeah, is he number 1? That's what I mean, but not a top tier.
All right, head down to tier 2 where we find Lamar Jackson. He's got 22 tier 1 votes, Brew, but 28 tier 2 votes. One opposing coach saying he can't be special without the threat of the run. I think he needs to
that was Nick.
be more
active. Sound like my quote. I thought the same thing.
When he does run. Used to be he would go and outrun you. Now he kind of goes, but he's not always moving with purpose.
You guys think my side job's poker. My side job is I'm an anonymous coach.
Are you okay with Lamar dropping to tier 2?
Well,
and
first,
5th overall.
Shout out to the coaches, executives, GMs, et cetera, who in this poll. I mean, he's top 5. Which I can live with that. What was he, 12th in the player poll or something like that?
Yeah, I think he's
12th among quarterbacks, 69th overall. Yeah. So this is more like it. I do, however, the one guy I have an issue with him being behind is Burrow.
Yes.
And it's just because Burrow is not there, number 1. That's one of them. And I know you said, I think over the last 5 years, he and Lamar have played the same number of games. But the last 3 years, Lamar's only missed 4 games due to injury the last 3 years, and they were all 4 last year. Burrow's missed 16 in the last 3 years, so he's not available. That's number 1. Number 2, he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Well,
the best duo, maybe outside of Dallas, in the league, all right? And we just talked about Mahomes not having great receivers to throw to. Has Lamar ever?
Well, he has the 4th highest paid wide receiver
in
the history of the NFL.
We know how that works.
He's paid more than Jerry Rice and Randy Moss.
Jimmy Garoppolo was the
I'm just saying,
highest paid player
Zay Flowers
in the history of football.
Today makes as much money as Justin Jefferson. They wear purple jerseys. They're basically the same guy.
Here's the deal. Lamar Jackson is of the top 5 quarterbacks in the tier, or in this poll. He's the only one who's never had an all-pro receiver. And we know his lone Pro Bowl receiver, Zay Flowers, is not close to Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs and Puka and Devontae and Cooper Kupp. All right, that's the quarterbacks to the other 5. So he has never had a great receiver to throw to, all right? Beyond that, Nick, here's something this is why I think he should have been tier 1. Look at, these are from their careers. despite, again, never having that elite receiver like the others have had, he's number 1 among the top 5 in passer rating, touchdown percentage. He doesn't throw it as much as everybody else, but he throws more touchdowns, per capita, so to speak, than the rest. And yards per attempt. See, I know Nick like all these stats he knows are legit.
Listen,
that's a really good graphic.
Just real quick.
You don't think touchdown percentage is
I'm
legit?
not into touchdown percentage the way you are. The yards per attempt, though, I love. And so
and
that
rating
was, right.
is
and that,
legit.
and the rate, and absolutely. And so the only one there that I am, because I do think he doesn't
throw it as much,
and so
That's
I think touchdown percentage, and I think I value raw yards more than you do.
Yeah, I mean, he's never that high because, again, he doesn't throw it as much. But beyond that, here's some more stats.
Oh, okay, great.
Look at this total touchdowns in the last 3 seasons. These are, again, top 5. I'm not throwing Purdy and Caleb and Jalen Hurts in there. Top 5.
Hurts probably
He's second. All right, now I know you're saying, yeah, but he runs. Okay, let's look at this just passing touchdowns. He's second. More than Josh, more than Patrick, more than Joe Burrow. Yeah. Again, I don't have a problem with Mahomes, Allen, and Stafford being ahead of him, particularly coming off this season. But Burrow, I'm sorry, he
Burrow
should be
didn't play
ahead
any
of
of those games, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's a big thing, is he doesn't play a lot,
well,
and he's got the. I honestly. If Lamar Jackson had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I think his numbers would be sky high.
Okay, so
they're already great many of the years.
A couple things though. So about that, because we all think Baltimore has a savvy front office.
That's never had a bunch of great receivers, even before Lamar.
Yeah, so they prioritize Derrick Henry over star receiver. They want to be a running team. Yeah. And this has been my part of my rub with Lamar is the frustration of I'm not talking about this show necessarily, but a little bit maybe, but certainly a lot of the outside discussion I would hear was about how Lamar is still underrated, about how just as pure passer, he's as good as anybody, that he's might be the best player in the league. And then when the playoffs would come around and they lose, it'd be like, you know what they should have done? Run the ball more. Well, you know what they should have done? They lose to the Chiefs without Derrick Henry, and they're mad they didn't run the ball more in that game. Then they go and get Derrick Henry. And so I don't buy as much as you, Brew, the idea that Lamar has been bereft of. He's a one-man show on offense.
Oh no, he's definitely. I mean,
but he hasn't had the star receiver.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I didn't think we needed to put the Zay Flowers contract as its own topic, because I thought it would come up here. I think it is gobsmacking that the Ravens gave him that deal.
I agree.
And it is a sign that the Ravens think we do have a star receiver. You know what I mean? That we do have a guy that we drafted he was first round pick. Yeah, we drafted in the first round. Which, by the way, they drafted Hollywood Brown in the first round. They drafted Rashad Bateman in the first round. They've spent a lot of resources.
Bateman can't stay healthy.
No.
And Zay's good, but you would agree. I was shocked by the numbers.
And so that to me it is a further commitment to the idea, all right, Lamar, you've got enough, man. You've got Derrick Henry. We think you have a number 1 receiver. We got rid of the head coach, which, again, I'm not saying he made them do it, but I think he was happy about that. Sure. Am I okay with him dropping to 5? Yes, I'm absolutely okay with him. I'm okay with that technically being tier 2, given who is in tier 1. Yes, with the asterisk of, I think the Burrow piece is tricky. I also think that you alluded to the stat that I have said a lot. If we just take since, the last 5 years, so I threw out Burrow's rookie year, which to be fair, he was hurt in, but Lamar came into the league before him. In the last 5 years, I think we have the graphic. It's a pretty simple graphic. They've been equally as available. And that, to me, it is tricky then how much we want to say Burrow is an injury risk and how much that means Lamar is an injury risk and how much that should affect Lamar's ranking. Now, it doesn't really matter for this conversation because Burrow's 4. You know what I mean? But one of the biggest knocks on Burrow is,
but
is
you
he going
don't
to be
think,
there?
I mean, like I said, last 3 years he's been hurt 4 times as much as Lamar. And also, his injuries seem to be. Lamar has had strange things.
His injuries
cold and sitting out, all types of stuff.
Burrow's injuries seem more catastrophic.
Yeah.
But there's, eye of the beholder there. The quarterback who, unless something awful happens, is Burrow. Or the quarterback who hasn't had any catastrophic injuries, yet has missed a third of the season 3 of the last 5 years. You know what? It depends on how you look at it. I think that he is about right. I think if I were doing it, I would probably have him maybe 1 spot lower. But I think this is I think this is about fair and much more fair. I think in the player poll, Brew, he's 14th.
Yeah,
I think it's much more fair than some of these other polls.
Wacky. All right, Ravens open up in Indianapolis. We're going to head to New England, where the Super Bowl and MVP silver medalist Drake Maye is coming in at 8, tied with Jared Goff, and behind Lamar, Justin Herbert, of course. You got to just pencil Justin Herbert. Put that in.
Herbert
That
moved
dude
up.
gets
Of course.
Herbert went from 7 to 6.
Well, yeah, he should.
But did you read of Herbert's tier 1 votes? 6 of the 8 GMs had him tier 1, and then only 12 of the 42 coaches and personnel, other people had him tier 1. GMs love Justin Herbert.
And Dak Prescott, that's who Drake Maye is behind. Here's my favorite quote from a personnel executive who was impressed with Drake as he started talking. He's going to be a number 1 very soon. You know what? Yeah, he's a number 1. Resilient kid, makes plays, underwhelming receiving core. Stephon Diggs did have 1,000 yards this year. Smart, athletic, another year with this coordinator, Josh McDaniels. Get some big play guys. Well, I got great news for you.
You got one.
And I think he'll be
I have a confession, Kato.
number 1, yes.
I'm also this anonymous. I was reading this. I was like, I'm all over this thing.
Get some. Do you think this ranking is fair or foul?
Look, again, Danny's the Justin Herbert guy, but with us 3, I'm like the Justin Herbert guy.
Yeah, you can have it.
I'm expecting him to have a big year, and he might prove what I'm about to say wrong. I think he could have an MVP type season.
He did last year. He got a vote. He got one of Drake Maye's votes.
But I do think he's potentially great.
Yes.
But he's the one guy right now I would say you could put Drake ahead of. Everybody else, I'm fine with being ahead of Drake because Drake's done it 1 year. And it was a great year.
Sure.
But he did it 1 year, didn't look great in the playoffs. I'm not going to hold that too much against him, but didn't look great in the playoffs, obviously. But had 1 great season. Just do it again before I start moving you ahead of Dak Prescott and
Lamar and
Burrow. Goff, all Goff does is have a great regular season every year. That's
right.
all he does. And so, look, you can look at Caleb, you can look at Jaden Daniels, you can look who's not even on there anymore, C.J. Stroud, who I think was 20th. They had 1 great season. So just do it again before I move you higher. That's all I'm saying.
I think that is very fair.
I'd rather hear you talk about Drake Maye than me.
My one angle on Drake Maye, because I've done the stats till I'm blue in the face, is the quote that says if he adds some big-time playmakers. I wonder if we are not talking about A.J. Brown enough. And I think the fundamental question, you tell me if you agree, comes down to, does the addition of A.J. Brown plus a more difficult schedule mean Drake Maye is going to be better or worse? I think he's going to be better. And I think when we look at the guys, the quarterbacks who are ahead of him, what did they add to get better? Mahomes got Kenneth Walker. I think it'll help. Josh Allen got DJ Moore. Stafford really got defensive players. Burrow didn't get anything, I don't think. Lamar got a new coach.
Burrow got defensive players.
Got defensive draft,
yeah.
Herbert got a new OC. Dak really got a new defense. And Drake Maye got A.J. Brown. I think that is, when you're just looking at like raw, like can I take my skills and my numbers or my game to the next level? I think that is the most impressive addition between out of everybody
more
else.
Than Brock Purdy getting Mike Evans?
Don't get me wrong. Mike Evans can still catch the ball.
Stafford's defense is awesome.
And Stafford's defense is great.
Yeah. As far as impacting, so I think the biggest upgrade, I think A.J. Brown from Stephon Diggs is a smaller upgrade than Kenneth Walker from Isaiah Pacheco on one leg.
That's a kind of a Stephon compliment, I guess.
Yeah, because Stephon did have a super productive year, but it wasn't explosive.
AJ's a better player.
Oh, he's a way better player.
Yeah.
He's younger, and he's way more explosive. The explosiveness is undeniable. One of the sneaky, interesting things about Drake is, Drake, the first, we used to have this graphic, I forgot to ask for it, but like 9 games of the year, he was like 82% on deep passes. And then he was on a deep pass heater.
Yep.
And then the regression to the mean hit him smack in the face. In the second half of the year, it's not that he went to average. He was bad on deep passes, compared to league average.
Yeah.
I am curious.
You think that's a combination of being out on?
I have no idea.
I think it's multifactorial.
Yeah, I think it could be a little tape. I think he was a little lucky early. I think he got a little banged up. I think the offensive line got a little worse.
Missed a few games.
But Booty might not even be on the team.
He's going to be on it.
Okay.
I don't know what we're doing with him. He should be on the team.
But to answer this question, yeah, any lower would have been foul. Like, I expect Drake Maye to leave this season where he is considered a top 5 quarterback. I said that midway through last year, that I thought Drake Maye was going to be a perennial top 5 quarterback. I have major questions about how good the Pats are going to be this year. I have almost no questions about Drake Maye. And so I think that I could see a scenario where at the end of this year, he supplants. I think there's a scenario where Stafford retires, so there's an open spot.
Yeah.
Where Herbert finally, people are like, okay,
enough.
He was awesome
Well,
in
he's
the
gotta
first
do it
couple
this
years.
year. Absolutely.
I think either Burrow or Lamar could lose their kind of grandfathered spot if if Burrow misses the playoffs for 4th straight year, if Lamar is a down year. So I see him on the ascent.
Lamar's MVPs should keep him up there, in my book. If Mahomes is Super Bowls, I know Super Bowls and MVPs are 2 different things.
The playoffs hurts Lamar.
Yeah, the fact
He's got to get over that hump.
you can't have your claim to fame be you are awesome in the regular season and then have back-to-back bad regular seasons.
How good are the
gotta get
Sixers
some
going to
good
be?
stuff.
Well, according to Kevin Durant, they're going to be better than his Warriors teams. Durant writing on Instagram that the comparison, he's replying to somebody obviously, isn't close.
No, I think he's saying, just to be clear, the other guy said it ain't close, and he's like, ain't close, laughing.
Oh, I'm
laughing
sorry.
at that.
I
And now
apologize
he's
to Kevin
explaining why
Durant.
it is close. To
Not
be fair,
close.
I don't
LMAO.
want to get sniped here by the sniper.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Joel's an MVP recently. Tyrese Maxey's been an all-star for the last 3 years, and we know what Braun
You
does.
skipped
Jalen Brown,
recent finals MVP.
Oh, Jalen Brown, recent finals MVP. Klay Thompson was never an MVP candidate in anything.
Wow.
Wow.
22 points per game.
22 points. That's actually pretty. I don't know if that was a compliment, insult. Draymond, 14, 7, and 6. Well, that's, Steph's an MVP just like Joel. They cancel each other out, basically.
Dude, there's no difference between Steph and
I don't get how the Warriors team's better on paper. I don't get it. Okay? I don't get it. This is being
Can we see? Look, I don't know if you were going to show this.
No, go ahead.
Draymond's response
I didn't get into
was
that. It's just a
hilarious.
whole nother.
Yeah.
It was
ball of
hilarious, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It was right on the money.
So,
I think we do
Draymond
have
and
it.
Clay both responded. We
Clay,
have them
yeah.
both. This is Clay. Hey, man, you good. What you using my full government for? Then the ID emoji. And then Draymond said Slim thought he was on his burner with the laughing emojis.
It does look like that. It looks like he thought he was on his
Also, just to add a little context before you go, Draymond also, on a podcast that he recorded before this last thing from KD, but in response to the first thing, Draymond said that, I'm paraphrasing, but what he said, he goes, KD views basketball like Uncle Drew, meaning it's just about getting buckets. And that's why he views them having 4 25-point-per-game scorers as so valuable.
That's interesting.
And he's just thinking
Yeah.
about it through this is what Draymond
Doesn't matter
said
who wins,
yesterday
doesn't
before
matter-
this comment was it's just about like who can get buckets, and that's why he's viewing it the way it is.
He talked
That's
about it.
Draymond's
That's Draymond's take on
Durant.
Durant's take from before Durant doubled down on
I
the
think
take,
that's pretty
for
good.
whatever it is. But go
All
ahead.
right, I'm going to try to be fair, as fair as
I just
possible.
don't agree with
to
Draymond's
KD.
take on
You
Durant.
don't think that's how KD looks at it?
I disagree
just
with
wants to get
Draymond's
better
take on
every day.
Durant's take.
Yeah.
I don't. I just,
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Do your thing.
Use it
Look.
differently.
On paper,
Don't you dare.
I'm just going to kick facts. On paper, you can make an argument for KD's side of this because As I said, Sixers starting 5 with VJ Edgecombe as the 5th guy. They're all stars or potential stars in him. 4 stars, 2 superstars, Maxey and Brown. I mean, heck, it might be 4 superstars.
Okay.
All right? And then VJ Edgecombe, who maybe could become a star. The Warriors had 2 role players in their starting lineup. Draymond Green, great role player, Hall of Famer, yeah. And Zaza Pachulia. Now, he mentioned a lot of the accolades, but here's the Sixers starting 5. LeBron, number 1 pick. Embiid, Jaylen Brown, and VJ Edgecombe. That matters. Number 3 picks in the
LeBron
draft.
was a number 1 pick. Hear me out.
Tyrese Maxey, 21st pick. 4 first-round picks. Golden State, Steph, 7th pick. KD, number 2. Clay, 11th. Draymond and Zaza were second-round picks. So what I'm saying is that the way I believe KD is looking at, I think your point was great from Draymond, but also is just straight paper. No context. No history, just straight paper, what they've accomplished and how talented they are. But, and I love this. This is my wheelhouse. I keep telling you, you don't just put a team together. You don't just grab 4, 5 great players and that's a great team. Then look at the Knicks that just ran through the league. They didn't, I don't even have to say that they don't have a bunch of blue chippers. So my point is just that, sure, on paper, literally speaking, you can look at what those guys have done, their talent, and say what you want to say. But as a team, they're not even close to what the Warriors were. The Warriors were way better than the sum of the individual parts.
But the other thing that I think you're alighting over a bit, and KD was totally disregarding, is where these guys were in their careers. Comparing Steph Curry in 2017, who was the reigning 2-time MVP, to Joel Embiid, who's played 40 games the last 2 years because he won an MVP 3 years ago, is ludicrous. Comparing the addition, and this is ultimately, KD, this is one of the reasons I like him, I think he might be crazy like a fox. I think this might all be one long, almost operation to get people to say what I'm about to say, because I think deep down, KD's been wanting people to say a version of this for his whole career. LeBron right now is not nearly as good as KD was 10 years ago.
No kidding.
And so
we need to say that out loud.
but that's the addition. You know, he's like, hey, they brought me in, but KD at 28.
But he might be as good. Depends on who you compare him to. He might be as good as Draymond was.
Sure, but that's not the new addition. I think he's comparing himself to that, and so I think the point Wilds made yesterday is the most valid one. It is wildly fascinating that Durant wants to keep having this fight. That it's been 10 years, he won his championships, he left there in sports heroic fashion, going out, on a bad leg to try to win a 3rd straight championship, and tragically blew his Achilles. Never felt he got the respect or love or adoration that he deserved.
Correct.
And is still fighting that war. Because nobody,
some people are.
No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say nobody in their right mind thinks there is an actual valid comparison between where the Warriors were in the summer of 2016 and where the Sixers are in the summer of 2026, and where Kevin Durant was in the NBA hierarchy in the summer of 2016, and where LeBron is in the summer of 2026. You're right, Brew, that some people are still throwing the Warriors thing in his face. But I can't imagine that happens to him a lot with people whose names he actually knows. You know what I mean? I think it's just people on the internet.
He's proven that doesn't matter.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He has a very egalitarian, and I respect it. It's like, hey, are you a long-term NBA journalist? Like, hey, did you start watching the other day? Are you in middle school? Everyone's opinion is valid.
No,
it's kind of cool that he's willing to go at anybody. That being said, to continue that point, again, this is a Kevin Durant story wrapped up in a Philadelphia cloth. How many of his decisions post Warriors are rooted in trying to right this wrong, and has steered him down this wacky course of teams like, I'll show you guys. I'll play a joyless brand of basketball on my own in Phoenix, in Houston, in Brooklyn. It's like, man, you were on the Warriors and it was awesome. It was a gift to the basketball world.
So I totally actually disagree with that last
You don't
point.
think he was doing that?
I think he was trying to recreate what he had in Golden State, but with the credit. Going to Brooklyn with Kyrie and immediately having them,
little super team.
getting James Harden,
Okay.
and then of all the places he could go to, going to Phoenix, fresh off a Finals appearance with Devin Booker. Like, I think KD saw from a basketball perspective how he could exhibit his skills and how much fun the game can be when the other team can't simply focus on you. And so he was trying to recreate that to a degree, but in spots where if they won, nobody would put any buts about it.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't been able to do it. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't been able to get over that mountain. But it is, I don't think anybody actually thinks Bron at 40, soon to be 42 in year 24, joining a team that hasn't been to the finals in a quarter century is at all similar. Again, if Bron had joined the Thunder, you would at least say, okay, they beat you in the playoffs. They won a championship the year before. They flirted with 70 wins. They have the reigning MVP.
Just because he's not at the
exactly,
level
but it still would have been, but Bron's 41 and you were 28.
Titles.
But it's.
Guess what? It would have been awesome if he was on the Thunder.
I would have hated it.
I would have loved it.